I don't know.
You're playing Sonic Adventure 2. Nothing is wrong with you.
Right.
I mean, if you were playing like Sonic 06, I'd be like, yeah, something's wrong with you.
If I could play it on Steam Deck, I would play it. So I bought Sonic 06. I pre-ordered it. I don't know if I ever told you that story. I was
I
pumped for it.
I mean,
I
at the time, yeah, totally. I could totally see you being pumped for Sonic 06.
That was right before I started working at Game Crazy. Um, and I was friends with everybody there. Like I was friends with my buddy Joe before he started working at Game Crazy, but this other guy named Ryan, like he was there constantly. He was like the assistant manager or whatever. And I remember, like they would let you like test games in that little kiosk area before you would buy them or whatever. And they had a pre-release copy for some reason. I don't know why, but he let me play it and stuff. I'm like, this is the future of video games, sir. Like, do you see the graphics on this? These are the Sonic 06. You mark this day, sir. You mark it. It'll be the greatest game of all time.
I
And
mean,
I was wrong.
I mean, I mean, Mark this day was correct, but just not for the way that you meant it.
You mark my words, sir. uh, well,
All right. Well,
oh well. Yeah, you. I guess you would say you live and learn, right?
yeah. Or you might just be hanging on the edge of tomorrow.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
can
Well,
keep up with that.
well, welcome to Game Dads. I've been recorded since you started, so
Dude, I think we always do some of our best like riffs right off the bat. So I'm glad you were. And for once, I think what are we on? Like episode like 25, 26, something like that.
This is 25.
For once, I didn't ask, hey, are we recording?
Yeah, yeah. We seem like pros in the game now. 20,
Yeah.
25 podcasts in.
That's about a year and some change.
Yeah.
So we're doing pretty well, man.
So, welcome to the Game Dads podcast, where we talk about. I think this one's gonna be pretty video game focused. I'm impressed by us.
Yeah, I think I have one non-video game thing to say, and it's more just a check-in. But yeah, dude, I think this is gonna be a damn good show.
Yep.
So one for the record book, sir.
All right. Where do you want? Do you want to start with what you're playing, or do you want to just go straight into topics?
We can update with what we're playing first. I think I'll save the spicy stuff for later. I guess I was a little overtly spicy with recent events. I know we try to keep this pretty evergreen, but sometimes things happen and Britt gets bothered. So look forward to that. I guess. You want to start with what you're playing?
Oh, yeah, sure. I like I'm almost embarrassed at how much I have just been playing Satisfactory. Like I'm almost embarrassed. Like Secret of Mana came out, I played it, loved it. Like I know
Visions.
I can see Visions of Mana, let me say that. I can see where people are like, oh, man, with all the new RPGs that have been out recently, this feels kind of linear. I'm like, yeah, that's true. And they're like, oh man, with all of the, super fluid combat systems like Final Fantasy 16, this seems kind of clunky. And I'm like, I can also see that. But also I'm like, I get to play some more Secret of Mana. The I don't know if I've ever I mean this in of all games that have come out recently, and there have been some gorgeous games that have come out recently. I love the environment and the world in Visions of Mana. It is goddamn beautiful. It's so fucking colorful. It's not even funny. I look at that thing and I'm like, I don't even want to go anywhere. I just want to pan the camera around and just look at the environment. But
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun playing it, and then I put it down, and then I started playing Satisfactory again, and I literally haven't stopped. I have been playing that game so much, and then between the last episode and this one, it finally fully released, and I literally got to the point where I was able to do the new stuff, and now I'm in the new stuff, but because I guess they were playing like easy mode before. The new stuff, you have to do so much. I basically have to like almost start the game from scratch again to like
Oh no.
get all of the new stuff that I need to get done. Like, okay, so like the last items that I made to like finish the level 8 stuff, I literally had to leave my computer on all day and just let the game run to build all these things. It literally took 8 hours for my factories to make all the necessary stuff to make the last items that I needed for level 8.
My
For level
gosh.
9, it's different items, and that one item that I had to leave the game on for 8 hours for it to finish, you need 10 times as much of that item to get the next level. So that's like almost a week of leaving my computer on. So I'm like, I'm not going to be able to get this done with the level that my factories are at right now. So basically I have to like create like mega factories that make like 10 times as much of all of the items that I'm currently making in order to be able to make 10 times as much of this item that I need. So like I'm basically starting over. So like what I have to do at this point is like basically look around the map and find as many resources as I possibly can so I can build factories that build 10 times as many items as I currently do. And like I just did a quick like walkthrough of my factories to see what I was making, and I'm making like I think, just as an example, for screws, I'm currently making 450 screws per minute, and in order to get to where I need to get, I'll have to be making 4,000. So it's like, okay, I'm just gonna have to start over and kind of like explore the entire map, find every single resource that I can, and bring them all to like these factories, and then build these giant factories that make thousands of every item, and then bring all of that stuff together to finish the game. So like since 1.0 came out, it's kind of like I'm starting over from the beginning again, just with all of this stuff already unlocked. So
Is this free to play?
no. I think when I bought it, I think it was $40.
Okay. So now it's in 1.0. It's probably a full
Yeah,
$60 release.
probably. But like
Interesting.
I gotta give it to the Satisfactory guys. They have been, I don't know what the secret sauce they run into, but like I mean this is, like streamer stuff, but like I kind of keep up with like who's really popular as far as video games are concerned. There are so many different genres of streams now. If you're not playing video games, I probably don't know anything about you, even if you're
Yeah.
extremely popular on Twitch, because that's all I pay attention to. I don't pay attention to the political streamers or hot tub streamers or even very much for artist streamers. I only really pay attention to art streamers that I know, like I know their art, so I know that they stream. But like,
Yeah. I get into pro wrestling stuff every now and again.
yeah, so like, but like gaming streamers, like Iron Mouse is like one of the high. I think she currently is the like most subscribed to streamer on Twitch. I think she just took over Kai Sinet, and now she's the most popular one again, which she was for a while, anyways. But like,
Mm.
she was playing Satisfactory like 2 days ago. Like, I'm like, these guys are doing it. I don't know how the heck you guys went from like some random factory game that I found on Humble Bundle to like the top streamer in the world is playing Satisfactory on stream for like her stream is like, I think it's like 6.5 hours or something. I'm like, how did you manage this? I don't know how you did it, but that's pretty impressive.
Sometimes, word of mouth and discoverability on the store. Like, I don't know, like as I kind of delve more into the Steam Deck, just like that Steam store is sometimes hot garbage. But, that word of mouth and discoverability, like you get the right person playing the game at the right time. I mean, look at what happened with Among Us.
Oh yeah,
Among Us was, I mean, it had been out for a while before, was it Ninja that picked it up?
yeah.
And then it blew up, and now it's taken on a whole life of its own. But
TV
good for
shows
those
coming
guys.
out soon.
Jeez, I got nothing but respect for that dude.
Yeah, that's crazy though. It was just like I was like, because like I've gotten so obsessed with the game that like YouTube sends me a lot of Satisfactory stuff, and like
Oh yeah, your
to
algorithm now.
oh yeah, for sure. It's gonna take a while. It's gonna take a while for me to unscrew my algorithm, because like there are a couple of like little things, because like it also triggers like the coder in me a little bit, because like trying to like figure out how to exactly manage all your resources and make sure everything is being used properly is also part of how you make things and how you code things. You have to make sure that, you know, all all the resources being going in or going out properly and all this stuff. So it just tingles this little part of my brain. And then like the people who are really, really good at it are like, oh, you could do a load balancer and have everything balance out this way. And then if you've got this many, pieces going through and you want to make sure every machine is getting the same amount, then you can, it's like all this little things that like trigger in my brain. But like, because of that, my algorithm is absolutely screwed with Satisfactory stuff. Like every 10 videos I see on YouTube, one of the 10 recommended videos is something about Satisfactory. And I'm like, I do like this game, but I don't need other people's like the thing about the game is it's just customizable enough that if you are one of those types of people, you can like, I saw a guy who has like a freaking like racetrack. Like there are like vehicles in Subnautica, and I keep saying Subnautica, in Satisfactory you can use to like traverse the area. And like this guy literally made like a racetrack, like that you like the game times how long it takes you from start to finish, and you can like race against other people because the game's multiplayer, which is a weird thing I never got to use, but it's like everyone can get in their cars and like Mario Kart around in the game. Like it's the stuff that people build in this game is so crazy, and it's just like I don't think I'm ever going to get to that level where I need to build a city like some of these people build cities. But like, and now that we're hitting this part of the game where everything has to expand so much, like I am going to have to get a little nuts to get all this stuff, because like the area that I started my game in has like one bit of every little resource I found around me. But like in order to make the factories that I need to build, I'm going to need like multiple sources of every resource. So I'm going to have to like go across the entire map and find them. And then I got to move them around. And it's just like, I have a to-do list that I wrote exclusively for Satisfactory. I
That's awesome.
That has never happened to me before. I've never like been playing a game and been like, there's so much stuff in here that I need to like make a list of what I need to do so that I can progress. And like I'm like, I need to finish this because it's taking away from other time in my life.
Yeah, I kind of get that argument too. I love, like, especially back in the day where I was a little more involved with my games and stuff. I would draw maps, and I still, I think it may have got thrown away in the move, but I had this like really elaborate Luigi's Mansion map that I drew when the game came out, just where all the booze were and all that stuff. But like, dude, if you're having fun with it, like, I, I don't know. I'm trying to break myself out of this sort of mentality as well, but like rushing through something just to get to the next something,
Yeah.
like I I don't know. I think that's one of the negative parts of influencer culture and all that, where they're constantly pushing the next item, and you feel like you have to get to it. Dude, it'll still be there when you're ready for it. So Visions of Mana isn't going anywhere. So when you are ready for it, because dude, if you rush yourself to the thing that you're really enjoying right now, just to get to that thing, I don't know, it may lessen your experience a little bit more.
Yeah. It's one of those things that I definitely like. I feel it. I've never felt it in my soul the way I do now, because like I've said this before, but like the way I used to play video games, because I was doing YouTube, was I was playing the games like on YouTube to make the YouTube content interesting. I wanted it to be something that people wanted to see. So I'm constantly like barreling through every game to try and get to the next game so that, I can have more content. And like when new stuff comes out, it's like, oh God, I gotta hurry up and finish this game so I can play the new game. And then now it's like I'm not doing this for anybody else. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm sitting at home playing my game, and I'm like, I'm going to go through every side quest in Final Fantasy Rebirth. I'm going to do every single bit of this game. Why? Because I can. There's nothing holding me back from sitting in this game as long as I want to. And it's like, it's a totally different feeling. And like,
What?
I'm just sitting, like, I'm playing Satisfactory right now, and like, I'm literally just like, I have to keep doing it in my brain. Like, I have to keep going, like, oh, well, this thing needs to get made so that I can make more of this resource. And like, oh, it's going to take forever. It's like, yeah, but what else? Like, it doesn't have, who cares if it takes a long time? Like,
Yeah.
I can just have it take a long time. Like, nobody's, counting the seconds of how long it's going to take me to get this done. No one's watching me do it for entertainment. So I can just take my freaking time. And
Yep.
that's what I've been doing. And it's been lovely. I've been just basking in the game and doing all of this crazy stuff, and I'm thoroughly enjoying myself. And like, another thing that I've noticed is like, when you're not thinking about things in this like rushed context, you also get like different types of like gameplay that you don't get when you're rushing. Like, when
Yeah.
when I'm like when I was in that mentality of just playing through the game, trying to get it done, I'm like, okay, well, it makes more sense to make one place, bring everything to this place, and then just make this one place my giant factory and build everything around it. And then like, when I'm not rushing, I'm like, I have an entire freaking map. I can just build a factory wherever the heck I feel like it. Like, wherever it's most convenient. Who cares? It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be like all right here. So for the convenience factor of having everything close to me, I'll just build it wherever I want. Like, it's still like a mental thing that I have to like consciously be like, no, Aaron, this is your game. You're playing for you. Just do whatever you want to do. Do whatever is most fun. Like,
Yep. That's the point of the game anyway, right?
yeah, exactly. It's just like, I feel in my brain where I have to like that like idea of like, okay, well, this is the most important thing. We got to get this done. We got to do this. And I'm like, no, you don't. You don't have to. We can just build whatever we want to build wherever we want to build it. If we want to redo this entire area, we can redo the whole entire thing, because no one's going to be like, oh man, Aaron's wasting 10 episodes rebuilding his base. It's like, no one's watching, so let's just do it. Like, that's where I've been. Like, and I notice it, and like, my brain has this little tick in the back where I'm like, that's going to take a long time. Who wants to watch that? And I'm like, nobody's watching this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of guilty of the FOMO stuff right now. Maybe not FOMO, but where I usually play games pretty thoroughly. Like, I mean, I love platinum trophies. And most of our audience probably knows that by now. But I've been kind of getting to that like rush through the one thing to get to the next thing especially this year, and I'm not entirely sure why I'm like that now. But I'm starting to slow down a little bit and actually kind of stop, smell the roses. Yeah, there's no point in it. So this stuff's not going anywhere. But also at the same time too, there's too much to play. So
Yeah, there's a lot out there to play right now. Like, my vacation is coming up, and I am so excited, dude. I'm so excited, because Sparking Zero comes out in like 2 weeks right before my vacation starts. I have Visions of Mana to play. I have Satisfactory to play. I need to finish God of War Ragnarok. I've got like 5 good games on my list that I need to finish. And I'm just like,
ooh.
It's just like, I'm going to say this quietly, but like, Andrea is going to be at work. So it's just me and Lee, and I'm going to be off of work. So I don't have to worry about work stuff. So like, me and Lee are just going to be sitting around playing video games and taking walks for 2 weeks. I'm so excited.
I love that for you guys, man. Yeah. I completely understand that. So as you get older and, kids and all that stuff, like those little breaks, you got to celebrate that stuff. So love that for you. And you said the magic words, God of War Ragnarok.
Yes.
I'm pumped. I can't wait to talk about it with you.
I'm like, I don't even know if I would say I'm halfway through. I would say maybe I'm a quarter of the way through, but
You got to start over.
I'm honestly thinking about just starting from scratch.
Yeah.
Just starting over and just running through the game again because like I like I know I was playing it and I enjoyed it, but it was one of those situations where I think something else came out while I was playing it and it just like overshadowed it and
Yeah.
I just never made it back around because it's
Those are long games too.
yeah, and it's just this game cycle has I think it was actually Final Fantasy 16.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then the game cycle ever since has just been like non-stop games over and over again since 16 came out and I just have not
Yep.
had the time to go back around to it.
The biggest thing with me with Ragnarok, and we can move on after this if you want to, but it came out in the middle of me moving, and I think that really kind of disrupted my process with it. So like, I don't hold it as in high of a regard as I hold God of War 2018. But dude, like it is so stinking good. So I think I was out of my regular element when I played it, and I
Uh,
think that's what bothered me.
all right, you gonna talk about your games?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Let me get my little list out here, my little listy list. I got a couple that I've been playing. I've been trying to play my Steam Deck a little bit more. I'll kind of talk about that first. So I've been playing Sonic Adventure 2.
Mm-hmm.
I just completed the hero mode on that not too long ago. Dude, the Steam Deck, what a freaking beast of a console. And I understand I'm playing a 20-something-year-old Dreamcast game, but dude, it's just flipping phenomenal. That. I love variation of things I can play on this thing, and this thing's gonna be clutch for me in the next year. I think, especially like with the way the Vita was when Drake was first born. That's foreshadowing, kids. That's something we're gonna talk about in a little bit. But so yeah, you saw like the two Stone Cold Classic. I love that game. I mean, it's got its problems. You know, it's a little clunky in some parts, but it's beautiful. It's cheesy in the best way. That soundtrack is just banging.
Yes,
It's so
absolutely.
good. I'm also playing Castlevania Dominus Collection,
Mm-hmm.
which I so that collects all the DS Castlevania games. It's like Order of Ecclesia, Dawn of Sorrow, and I forget what the other one's called. Those came out at a time when I was very poor. I had just moved out on my own and I didn't have a whole lot of like extra cash for video games. I was still trading stuff in. I had games for my DS, but it was mostly stuff like Animal Crossing, things that I could play forever. And like,
Didn't know
so
you were
I
an Animal Crossing dude.
oh, big time, dude. My GameCube save, I kept that little town going. Gosh, oh, I think up until when the Wii came out, maybe beyond that, because like there was a Wii Animal Crossing game and that game sucked. But I think Wild World on the DS is actually what kind of took over my Animal Crossing time. But no, I love Animal Crossing. But so I completely miss those Castlevania DS games. So, in that one of the most recent Nintendo Directs, they announced Castlevania Dominus Collection, and it came out to literally everything. $25, and you get these three the RPG style Castlevania games. So, kind of like Symphony of the Night, the GBA games. One of them actually is a continuation of the GBA game. Super anime, really fun to play. And then they've got the Haunted Castle, I think it's what it's called. It was a Japan only arcade game that eventually became the first Castlevania game.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of remade it. But the biggest thing I wanted to talk about with this, I mean, first of all, it's fantastic. So apparently I played them out of order. So I 100% of the Order of Ecclesia. And I was really worried about how they were going to incorporate the DS controls. So what they've done is they've taken the the bottom screen, which is where your character would be moving, and that's where most of your gameplay is taking place. That takes up the whole left side of the screen. And on the right side, it's kind of broken down what you would have on the top screen typically.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can reverse things around, but it's got your map and then it's got your inventory and items and all that good stuff. So, I mean, it's a little bit weird, but it does play pretty well. But the value proposition here is just off the flipping charts. You've got three games, essentially four games, that will probably take you anywhere from 60 to maybe 70 hours to completely 100% if you're that type of gamer. I am.
Mm-hmm.
For $25, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you can't beat that. And like, I understand what people have against Konami. I'm not necessarily a Kojima guy, really. I mean, I do like a lot of his games and stuff, but I kind of see where the divide would be between a company that maybe wanted to get out of games, and then, somebody that was making very artsy fartsy type games that were very expensive to make that didn't have a whole lot of returns. And that's a conversation for another day. But these recent collections that Konami's been putting out have been fantastic. The GBA Castlevania games, I forget how much that one was. It may have been $20. The Contra collections, the original Castlevania collections, man, you can't beat these collections for the price. And especially somebody that, like, I've been collecting a lot recently,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of these games that are in these collections are expensive as all freaking get out. Having these able to be played on modern platforms such as, PS5, for example, or Steam Deck is just great. So I totally recommend picking that up if you're into Castlevania. The third game I'm playing, and the one that I actually kind of want to talk about the most, is Astrobot.
Oh yeah.
I have platinumed the game, so platinum number 134 for me. Actually, my son platinumed it right before I did, so he had a little more time with it. We were all in on Astrobot. Love the PS5 packing game. It's I think it's one of the best packing games since maybe Tetris on the Game Boy. Granted, there's not a whole lot of packing games anymore, but just fantastic little game. But Astrobot by itself is like their first big budget game in a long time. It's Team Asobi, who they broke off from Studio Japan when they kind of Studio Japan was it was kind of a, I guess, kind of a bannerhead where it had a bunch of other studios below it. So it was like Team Eco and stuff like that. But Team Asobi survived after all those things got closed down, and then Astrobot's become kind of the de facto quote unquote mascot for Sony recently, especially after kind of Sackboy shit the bed. Those games kind of fell off. I mean, Little Big Planet really never took off the way they wanted to. It was popular, but and Astrobot's great, dude. It's a little celebration of what PlayStation is and was. I saw a couple people online calling it a graveyard or whatever, but I think Sony celebrates their IP probably better than most other publishers, honestly. Nintendo does pretty well with Smash Brothers, but beyond that, they got their big titles, but it's one of those like everybody's here type moments. There's a lot of little winks and nods, and in an age where we kind of live in a referential world, especially Marvel and Star Wars and all that stuff. We live in a if you know you know type culture right now.
That reminds me of something that I've been seeing on the internet, and I'll talk about it later. I want you to finish your thing.
Oh, no worries, dude. The biggest comparison I have for Astrobot is Super Mario Galaxy. You've got all these you got different little galaxies or whatever, and I think they do call them galaxies. Each of them have little levels, and in between you collect. Instead of stars, you got little bots, and a lot of them are just little. They look just like Astro, but a lot of them they're little references to old PlayStation games. Crash Bandicoot, Deacon St. John from freaking Days Gone. It's really fun. There's a lot of them that I didn't even know. I usually think I've got my finger on the pulse of a lot of stuff, but I mean, they were pulling some really obscure stuff in that game, which is pretty neat. But it's just delightful, dude. It's fun. It doesn't overstay its welcome. I think Platinum took me maybe not quite 20 hours, maybe according to my PlayStation clock. I don't know. That update that they just put out recently has really kind of messed up the playtime clock. But it's I recommend it. It's not game of the year that people have been talking about. I think that still belongs to Rebirth. And honestly, game of the year is kind of a bullshit award, anyways, dude. Especially with this many stuff that comes out.
Mm-hmm.
But no, dude, Astrobot, it's totally worth your time. It's worth your money. And I think right now, especially in a world where we're getting a lot of these like sort of like homogenous Fortnite type clone games, a lot of stuff kind of looks the same.
Mm-hmm.
You got a lot of Call of Duty stuff, whatever. Astrobot is a breath of fresh air. It's a time capsule of sorts where blast from the past. We don't get a whole lot of 3D platformers anymore. The last new one that I can really remember of any consequence was Crash 4, which was really good. And I'm not a Crash Bandicoot fan, but this one's great, dude. It's $60. If you want to see more of these types of games, people got to go support this stuff. Vote with your wallet. If you want to see different things, the biggest criticism against Sony right now is the sad dad simulator. Which I don't necessarily agree with. I think that's a little reductive, but go support Astrobot. This is what we want. If you don't want to see, Kratos crying over his teenage son anymore, which I'm just making fun. I love that game, but if you don't want to see that stuff anymore, or at least if you want to see more of what Team Asobi can do, friggin' go buy it.
Yeah, just vote with your wallet, as we always say.
Yeah, and that'll get me into what my Brett's father here in a little bit too. But I don't know. Did you have any interest in Astrobot?
Yeah, I mean, from everything I've heard, it seems like it's great. Every person who I've heard talk about it has been like, this thing rules, and if you're not playing it, you're an idiot. So I'm definitely interested in checking it out. It's just adding another game to my list right now is just not in the cards.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Especially with you having very young children, I think I don't think it's a complicated game, and it's really, some of it can get a little difficult. I think some of the challenge levels. I don't know how well you remember Mario Galaxy, but I mean, it was pretty easy to get through until you got to some of the. If you were looking to 100% it, there were a couple. I wouldn't call them buzzsaw moments, but this is a great game for you kids. There's a lot of stuff going on the screen. There's a lot of stuff to collect. There's always something going on. You're always unlocking something cool. This is, if I had young kids right now, this is what I would. Even Drake, at 12 years old, especially now he's into the Resident Evil and zombies and all this other stuff. And then the Astrobot comes out, and he just gets that. It completely took over his world for a solid couple weeks. And sometimes that's all you need.
Yep, 100%. Sometimes something will just come out of nowhere and it'll take over your world for a little while. And that's okay. You can just let it happen and then, go from there.
Yep. Let it envelop you, sir. The cutesy goodness.
So the thing that you brought up when you were talking about how we're kind of like a reference culture. Oh, God. So I continue to be worried for the youth of our nation.
We are the youth of the nation.
So I was on Twitter, and the people were just losing their mind because Fortnite recently added The Incredibles.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Dude, that's awesome.
Hypocrisy.
My name is Brett.
I love The Incredibles. I
do too.
I think it's one of the best Pixar movies, and one of the best movies that came out in our Pixar Disney age. But what this video I saw was 5 people playing Elastigirl and making her do Fortnite dances while other people stand around and cheer.
Dude, Elastigirl goes hard.
I know what you're saying, but that weird Fortnite culture, just
yeah. I'm right there with you, dude.
I say my problem is, if for some reason that was happening in Call of Duty, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Call of Duty is aimed at older kids, but
Aaron,
Fortnite is aimed at younger kids, and that's
Aaron. Call of Duty's got Cardi B in it.
Yeah, and Nicki Minaj is in it too.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of.
I love that. I personally love that. If I played Call of Duty, I would be in that Nicki skin every game and like just running around shooting people. Every game. I would play that Nikki skin every game.
Yeah.
I would pay money to have that Nikki skin so that I could play it in every game.
Well, you're in luck, sir. If you've got $70 to spare and 300 gigs on your hard drive left, it could be yours. So,
But like I'm saying, it's just like Fortnite I feel like Fortnite is specifically aimed at kids. And then to
oh
throw
yeah,
Elastigirl in it is another like, this is aimed at kids. And then
yeah.
it's just 5 people standing around in the Elastigirl skin, just dancing while people cheer and freak out. Like,
Well, they've got the ADS on, the aim down sights, and they're well, Elastigirl, backs up that dump truck.
I'm like, this is okay. Here's the thing that I was saying to Andrea. Here's the thing that I was saying to Andrea last night, and this kind of like makes my point. I feel like when we were younger, there was a third category of content. There was stuff that is aimed at children, stuff that is aimed at young kids, and then stuff that's
Uh-huh.
aimed at teenagers to adults. I feel like that young kids category that we used to have, I feel like that category doesn't exist anymore. And once you
No,
get,
because the adults are kids too.
yeah, and once you get beyond stuff that is aimed at young kids, you are just throwing teenage like kids all the way through adults all to consume all the same media. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's I don't think that's good. I think that there
No.
should be a line that like kids who are like 7 through 13 should still be able to exist in this realm that doesn't include porn stars, that doesn't include OnlyFans, that doesn't include stuff like that. Like they should be able to exist in a realm that doesn't include that stuff at least long enough for them to gain some type of basic morality before
Yeah.
they're introduced to all this stuff that is beyond, is adult stuff and beyond. Like it worries me. It worries me
I
for
would
those
say
kids that don't have that.
I would say that it's up to the parents a lot to make sure that they're like to see what they're doing. Now, I get what you're saying. Like, you know, I don't know. Like
Yeah, I hit you with
things that,
something very deep out of nowhere.
well, I don't know like where to begin with it. But there's a lot of things I don't let Drake watch or consume. But there's still a lot of like mature stuff I will let him. Is that kind of what we're getting at here? Like the
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the parents' responsibility to you
yeah.
know
But
actually lead.
you're saying something like Fortnite is like as ubiquitous as it is with kids and adults. You're saying that the line is blurred and they're both able to enjoy the same thing.
Yeah, like another example I would say is like Roblox. I don't deal with Roblox very much just because it's not. I was
Oh
we're
yeah,
too old for like the the baseline of Roblox to have hit us. We were adults before that game ever came out, so like it
yeah,
wasn't ever really aimed for us. But like there's stuff in Roblox that is like adults should be dealing with this, but Roblox is like aimed at like if you're old enough to understand how a computer works, you're old enough to play Roblox. There aren't
yeah,
age restrictions, but like there was a point where people were putting porn in Roblox.
yeah.
Like,
Well, when you have somebody an open platform like that, it's up to the moderators and all that stuff to make sure that, especially if there's an E rating on it, but a lot of them will actually put an asterisk on it that says this game might be rated E for everyone, whatever, but online interactions may not be aren't subject to because at that point a lot of times it's out of their hands.
yeah,
They can moderate voice chat and a lot of your like your Call of Duties. I know they came over a lot of scrutiny for using AI. I think Microsoft and the Xbox does it as well, but they use AI to kind of like almost like quote unquote listen in on your conversations, and then if it flags certain words or whatever, hate speech, trolling, maybe not trolling, but definitely hate speech. And then it throws it into an algorithm, and then red flags, show up on the back end, and then you might get, you know, like a ban, like 2 hour ban or something like that. Like you put you in a little timeout room or something. But
Yeah, like I want to be
yeah,
clear.
it's tough.
I want to be clear that I'm not trying to say like the internet is bad and we should go back to the simpler times where blah blah blah. Like that's not my point. And like people who try and make that point, like that's what you're basically saying is you don't want to do anything about it because
Yep.
genies don't go back in bottles. You can't just be like, oh well, maybe we should go back to time before the internet. It's like, no, that's never going to happen. There's no
Yeah.
possible way that we're going to somehow someone's going to be like, we'll stop using the internet. It's not possible. So like, that's not a suggestion. That's suggesting to do nothing. But what
I
I'm saying,
suggest we go back to a simpler time when porn sites wasn't all like stepbrother, stepsister stuff.
that we could definitely go back to that time because it's so weird and I don't understand how this one genre gained so much traction in our world.
Because dude, our society is fucked.
But
That's the anyway,
yeah.
Elastigirl,
But what I'm saying is,
who is also apparently popular on porn sites.
yeah, full circle. What I'm saying is I just think like I don't know what the solution is, and I feel like I'm not qualified to try and write a solution for society on how you fix this, but like I do think it's worth mentioning that like I feel like that area of time, the time that me and you spent loving Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers, I don't feel like kids get that time anymore.
No, because it's you know, I'm just a dude sitting in a beanbag chair. Like I don't have like I don't know.
Yeah.
I definitely don't have all the answers to it and stuff, but you know, when you have the entire world at your fingertips, and when I say that, I mean you've got a little device in your pocket that literally gives you access to the entire world. You know, that little cell phone in your pocket. It kind of takes away a lot of the mystery with it. With when you and I were growing up, we had the internet, but it was used in a completely different way. It was more of a tool, that type of stuff. We were really bottlenecked into a lot of different things where, you know, if you if Drake's in his room right now, he on his Apple TV or his phone or whatever, he can pull up any piece of any song he would ever want to listen to, any television show, any movie, whatever. You and I, when we were growing up, we were limited to what was on the Cartoon Network at the time, or what was limited to what video game was at Kmart at the time.
Yeah.
Like that was it. And I don't know if any of this stuff makes sense or anything like that, but we definitely live in a different society now where things are just so available all the time. Just this influx of information and opinions and you know false news stories and all that stuff. I'm not going to use Trump's term for it because fuck Trump.
Yeah.
But like you get all this misinformation and all this other garbage. Like you have that fed to you all day long, and Drake is a 12-year-old now was different than when you and I were 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
He's definitely a lot more like he's older. He's like mentally, I think he's older than we at his age of 12 than we were when we were 12.
Oh yeah.
Because of what he has available to him.
Yeah. And just like a comment on what you were saying there, just to like continue that a little bit, the thing that you're describing as the bottleneck is also what I'm describing as that like area of like the 6 to 12 to 13 area of content, because we could only get content from TV, that meant the content that was available at the time where our eyes were available to watch it was censored to our age. Like that's because Power Rangers came on after we got out of school, because that's when we would be watching TV, and then something darker or grittier comes on, past 9 o'clock, because that's when we went to bed. Like I feel like TV had these guardrails on for us where we couldn't access this more mature content because it just wasn't available for us when we were awake or available.
Right. Well, and think about too, like, the internet. Well, we first, like, you had a bigger access to it than I did at first, but you know, the first thing I think we did, we were, I know, I know with the internet, we looked at a lot of Dragon Ball Z stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
So because that's what we were interested in, then what was the next thing we did? Typed in boobs,
Yep.
right? Typed
Yep.
in boobs. And then, it just kind of goes from there. You start pushing those boundaries of like what you're able to get away with. And, I would say not just kids, but everybody now, since they have that little device in their pocket, they don't have those boundaries anymore. So really your world or what you get to see is really only limited to your imagination, which is why these algorithms are feeding stuff like I keep getting back to porn and I'm so sorry. But that's why these out like society is so fucked up where it's showing you these algorithms of the brother sister stuff or you know fucking Elastigirl or whatever, you know what I mean? Like these just really just bizarre type things or cat videos, like I hate to lump all that stuff into the same category, but really it's the only limit is your imagination. And these kids now, like they grew up in a world where the entire world is at their fingertips and their imagination is vast. So
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah. My last comment on that would be it's one of those things where you're talking about how Drake is so much more mature than us when we were his age, and
yeah,
I 100% agree with you. And my thoughts on it are because like when we were when we were that age, when we got access to the internet, like we had such limited access to everything. We were constantly trying to push the boundary to see how far we could get out, to what we could get to what we could see, because we had been limited before. And then he has the opposite, where like he could get anything that he wants. I mean, I know you're going to try your best to prevent that, but I mean, there's a limitless option at least for him, and then he has
yeah,
the maturity to stay within the lanes that he wants to be in, and that idea blows my mind. Like
yeah.
the idea that he's 12 and he's like, there is stuff that I don't want to see. And like that's a maturity I did not have at 12. I didn't have it at 15. I didn't have it at 16.
Brother, I don't have it at 39, but I'm gonna I will use Drake as an example again. Excuse me. Just I'm so proud of him for just his level of maturity, like what he sees in the world and what he's told. Even like his mom and I are divorced. For the audience that doesn't know, and the stuff that he hears over at his mom's house, we hold different. We have a lot of the same opinions on things, like when it comes to his safety, blah blah blah. But take the take the pandemic as an example. Like we had a lot of differing opinions when it came to that. Drake being able to be mature enough to have his own opinions, and then at 12 tell us what he wanted to do or what he felt was right. And that's ultimately, I think, what like I can't get into political stuff on this one, but because it's not political, but that's what led to him getting vaccinated. Was his way of articulating why this was the right thing to do, and he's fucking 12.
That's crazy. Like that kid, like I'm already filling it out, but like Drake for president, like I'd vote for him. I'd vote for
You
him
know
for
what though? I think that he pulled the Batman approach. He's the hero that we need, but not the one we deserve. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
So, well, I'm fired up. I'm gonna tell you that. So, can we do Breath Bothered?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So while I'm hyped, I don't ever write anything for this show. I like to shoot from the hip. I wrote something for this show, and this is another edition of Breath Bothered. So recently, the PS5 Pro was revealed, and I've got a little something to say about it. So today I'm bothered by two parties that directly influence each other. The PS5 Pros have officially been revealed, and go figure, people are not happy. Sony listened to those of us who haven't been impressed with how the original PS5 has handled performance versus graphics modes. Being a performance snob myself, the majority of the time, games look just fine in this mode. But every once in a while, we get games that are definitely less than fine. Big games like Final Fantasy 16, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth chug on both graphics and performance, with the latter often having worse visuals, even with VRR enabled on my OLED television. And I understand that a lot of people don't have that. Right? It's not as common of a mode for people. What VRR is it's virtual refresh rates, so it'll actually smooth out choppy frame rates. It's a pretty cool feature. Sony's taken these complaints and come up with a bigger, better, way more expensive machine, which brings me to the gamers complaining about the price. While the games mentioned above do chug occasionally, they are still very playable on the base PS5. The new PS5 Pro will set you back $699.99, $700 US, full $200 more than the PS5 was when it launched. This begs the question: what are you willing to pay for a luxury item? Video games are and always have been luxury items. And this race to the best possible graphics performance is going to get very expensive. Let us not forget Puddlegate from Marvel's Spider-Man. Gamers demand the very best, but oftentimes don't want to pay for it. So where does that leave us, the gamers? We have an irresistible force in inflation affecting video games / everything else we buy versus an immovable object in the wallet of the customers. The economy isn't getting any better anytime soon. And in the US and abroad, see Sony and Microsoft raising prices in both Europe and Japan. Inflation is outpacing the wages of the average American on a consistent basis. Again, where does that leave us, the gamers? This is a luxury item that no one is forcing you to buy. Your base PS5 works just fine. Is Sony crazy for pricing their console at $700? Maybe. But let's take a look under the hood. According to Sony, the PS5 Pro performs 45% better than the base PS5, lacks a disk drive, but doubles the amount of internal storage in the console. As someone who installed a 2 terabyte FireCuda SSD into my base PS5, I can tell you it wasn't a cheap endeavor. I paid $250 on sale in December of 2022. By the time I added the new SSD and purchased the official black casing, those little thin panels or whatever, I've well exceeded the $700 price tag of the PS5 Pro. At the end of the day, gamers need to take a step back and think about what they actually want from this medium. If you're constantly chasing the highest fidelity at the highest graphic settings on dedicated consoles, you're going to need to pay for it. Video games aren't going to get any cheaper. The genie is out of the bottle. And if you think $700 is bad, just you wait. The PS6 and the next Xbox more than likely will be just as, if not more expensive than this. So in closing, fear not, dear listener. Games like Astrobot, Ratchet & Clank Ripped Apart, Horizon Forbidden West, Returnal, and God of War Ragnarok prove that your base PS5 is still a beast of a machine. Love, Brent.
I got two things to say on that.
Yes, sir.
One, I completely agree, because if you feel the need to get the PS5 Pro, your setup probably is pretty insane to begin with. I mean, you're going to need a relatively brand new TV with pretty high fidelity to begin with, and then you've already spent hella money to get that. You don't need to keep your original PS5 if you're getting the PS5 Pro. Fucking trade it in, or however you can get some money back on that. Use the rest to buy the Pro. Like, if it's that big of a deal to you that you need to get it and you have the setup to handle it, then you're already spending money. So spend the extra to get what you want. And then if it's not that big of a deal to you, then chill out and just don't buy it. Use your PS5. It's fine.
Yep. So,
second thing I got to say, though, is if we had a word of the day, it's going to be genie being out of the bottle, because we've said it 5 times so far on this episode.
It's funny, too, because I actually wrote this. I wrote this a couple weeks ago, I think. It was right after the Pro reveal. So I had a follow-up. I didn't write this part out, though. The PS5 Pro and the 30th anniversary consoles, the pre-orders went live on Thursday, right? Mm-hmm. I got myself a PS5 Pro. I've pre-ordered it. It's ready to go. To be out November 7th, I think. The hubbub the hullabaloo, the uproar, the panties being in a bunch, all those freaking gamers and enthusiasts. Those are the ones I'm pointing at the most right here. All of them, all of them drug Sony for that. Every single one of them. As soon as the pre-orders went live and those things sold out, which I think you can still get the PS5 Pro, but the 30th anniversary console, they sold out pretty quickly. All those people started complaining about not being able to get one.
Of course.
All of them.
Because the true goal is to have something to complain about.
Hate clicks, dude.
Yep.
Hate clicks.
I just want to be complaining is the entire half of the entire goal of the internet now is just I want to be complaining about something.
Right. The other funny thing, I like a website called Push Square. Mm-hmm. It's a UK based website. It's completely PlayStation centric. Sammy Barker is a editor over there. I think he may run this whole site. I'm not sure, but he put out an article the other day with a poll, which thought was hilarious. Let me see where this poll's at. Let's see here. Basically, what he said, it's called "Fans Appear to Be Coming Around to the PS5 Pro." He said at the time when it was announced, 9.7 you said you were going to pre-order the console in a Push Square poll. And he says, quote, "That's a dire result for a website filled with enthusiasts." Then he says, quote, "Since then, the opinion does appear to have softened. Make no mistake, there's still a vocal contingent of who don't believe there's a point to the platform. But in the aftermath of pre-orders going live, 39% said they have plumped up for the platform. It's worth noting, quote, that the majority, 44.4%, still don't plan on purchasing the upgrade. But that's still a huge uptick."
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess my Brett's bothered is more just centered around the hypocrisy of not just gamers, but enthusiasts. I promise I'm not going to use every single one of these to just call out people, but I am calling everybody out right now. I think everybody needs to stand down, needs to calm down a little bit. Just, dude, it ain't that deep. You know, if you don't want to spend $700 on this console, dude, perfectly fine. But as the word of the day goes, we're going to do this Pee-wee's Playhouse style. The genie's out of the bottle. You know? Yeah.
That one blew my mind because like it's the Pro. Like,
yep,
it's the Pro. Like you don't buy it if you aren't like, if you don't genuinely feel like it's worth enough money to you, then just don't buy it. But like,
right,
it's for people who, want to go that extra mile, the people who like set up their entire living room to maximize the experience of playing their PlayStation. It's for them. It's for those people who have that extra money. So like, yeah, it's going to be more expensive. Like I mean, $200 over the price of the PS3 is like, oh, that's money. But like, also you already have a PlayStation. Like if you don't want to spend an extra $200, then just don't stand down. Just
exactly.
Go play the games you already have. They all look beautiful. Just get out of here.
So, but I also don't want this to seem like I'm completely defending Sony on this, because they're the ones that are kind of pushing the envelope with this, and they know they can get away with it. A lot of people have been kind of calling out like, "Oh, arrogant Sony's back." The 2006 arrogant Sony is back. Well, yes and no. I think Sony is in a very, very good spot. Very good spot. Just like they were going into the PS3 launch, with PS2 being the best selling console of all time, whatever it was. They have no competition from Xbox. Very little competition from Xbox, I should say. Nintendo's competing, whether they want to say that they are or not. But the Switch is probably going to end up overtaking the PS2. Sony is in a great spot right now.
Yeah, I mean,
they got a lot of the mind share and all that. Like, they can get away with this.
Yeah, I mean the Nintendo has kind of always competed in its own lane. Like it's not really its own lane because that's not possible when you're in a console. When there are three main consoles and one of them, you're not really in your own lane. But Sony's always, or PlayStation. Hold on, Nintendo is always kind of like, we're just going to do our thing. It's going to be innovative and beautiful and you're going to love it, but we're just going to do our thing. But like
Yeah.
Sony was
I mean, to
always,
be fair though, they did try to compete for a while there. That the up until the GameCube, it was pretty powerful.
yeah. But like in like the current situation, like Sony's always been running against Microsoft. It's been a head to head. It's been, are you a PlayStation guy or are you an Xbox guy? And like they've been doing this head to head, but like this year, like this generation specifically, I don't think they're fucking worried about it. And like
No,
when you're
well,
not,
go ahead.
when you're not worried about it, this is the kind of stuff you do. You like the people who are still on the Xbox train probably aren't moving over to PlayStation just because a new console came out. But like
Right.
the people who are, people who are PlayStation are ride or die. There's not like a contingency of people who PlayStation thinks that they could scare to Xbox by making some action.
Right.
Like they're not worried about that.
There were two kind of turning points with that. And the first being when the Xbox 360 came out a year before the PlayStation 3. That a lot of people jumped from PS2 to Xbox 360. On the flip side, when Xbox One had that huge debacle of a reveal, the DRM, it was $500. Freaking Jack Tretton came out and said, PS4 is $399, and then they did that slam dunk of a video of how you share your games.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I still think about that, but Xbox has never really competed against PlayStation, like unit for unit. The PS2 kind of, I'm doing this all off the top of my head, so if I'm wrong, definitely correct me. But PS2 outsold, it was 155 something like that million to like 20 something million. The Xbox 360 was the only one that was actually competitive, and it had a lot of the mind share that generation, but the PS3 still ended up overtaking it because they kind of dropped the ball toward the end. The Xbox One, yeah, may as well just throw that stupid thing in the trash. Like, it was underpowered, it was overpriced, and it didn't have the games to back it up. And PlayStation stopped the shit out of it. And here we are now in the PS5, Xbox Series X, which, dude, I don't know like how deep you are into like a lot of the podcasts and all that stuff, but like Xbox had a lot of goodwill going into this generation with, your like Game Pass, and the Series X was pretty decently priced, as was the Series S. And the PlayStation just came out and just completely stomped it.
Yeah.
So Sony's they've got this, call it arrogance, whatever, but they know they can get away with a $700 console.
Yeah.
And people are going to buy it. And here we are. And we are buying it.
Yeah.
So just wait to the PS6.
I was like, the whole goal, the whole move was like, I mean, where are you going? Like, if I drop this $700 console, are y'all leaving? And the answer is no. So,
nope. But your base PS5 still works.
Yeah.
It's still a monster, dude. Like, it is a great freaking console. I also say this as somebody that's playing the DS versions of Castlevania games on it right now, but Astro looks great. Mm-hmm. I'll say though, like with the games that I mentioned in my little write up there, your Jedi Survivor, your Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, 16 in some cases, fantastic games. But the hardware, the games are outpacing the hardware right now, and the PS5 Pro is future proofing themselves, and I applaud them for that. Your base consoles will still work; those games will still run. I enjoyed Rebirth for what it was on my console and stuff, but even when we were talking about it when it was contemporary, those were problems I had with it. The frame rate wasn't great. And when you go into performance mode, the game gets it's almost like they rode Vaseline over your screen in some cases. Like, it's pretty, but it could be better. The PS4 Pro, I still argue, was a vital console. You needed that thing. I know you went through the whole generation with just your original model, but if you don't play on the Pro, like I don't. It's one of those things. If you don't put the glasses on, you don't know any better, like, type of stuff. And I don't mean any offense by that.
No, it's fine.
But the PS5 or the PS4 Pro, like, it made stuff like, The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima and Red Dead Redemption 2. Like if you were playing Red Dead Redemption 2 on a base PS4, that thing, like, it just got sad and shut down sometimes. You know? I'm tired, boss. I I don't know, dude. We don't have to go on about this for very much longer or anything like that, but
People
um,
just like to complain.
gamers, stand the fuck down.
Yeah, just stand down. All right. I have one that I've had stored up for a while. Kind of want to talk about it.
Bring
I
it.
I don't have the meme anymore that I saw that sparked this rage that I like wanted to put onto this page. But it was a conversation. We're talking about X-Men. We're talking about the original X-Men movies. I think it's the third one where Rogue is basically wanting to go and take like the mutant cure to get rid of her powers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then she talks to Storm, and then Storm says to her, like, they can't fix us because we're not broken.
Yes. I thought that was a very, very good line in that movie.
So the meme is this guy is basically taking that scene and going, sure, girl who controls the weather, you don't want to be fixed because you don't kill people when you touch them. And I'm like, I could reply to this on Twitter, but I could also take it to the podcast because, first of all, yes, Storm does kill people when she touches them because if her powers are out of control, she can destroy the entire fucking planet. I completely understand that Rogue's power sucks. It sucks that she can't control it. It sucks that she hurts people when she touches them, but her power can be fixed by wearing a pair of gloves.
Right.
Storm, her power, if it goes out of control, destroys the earth.
Right.
I can't, you can't possibly understand less of X-Men and make that statement. Like, that is the pinnacle of you don't actually know anything about X-Men.
Right. Well, and the social commentary in X-Men is it's always been there,
Mm-hmm.
with that line specifically, and I do love that line quite a bit. I think she means more mutant type stuff,
Yeah.
as opposed to like my power versus your power. And I think that's maybe where that guy kind of loses the forest in the trees.
Yeah. And that's another part of it that I want to talk about because like I want to talk about it from multiple angles because this is just a rant that I was like, I could type this, but I could also just say it. And I'd rather just say it out loud. So like, first thing I want to say is she isn't talking about, like you said, she's not talking about Rogue specifically power for power. She's saying mutants in general are not broken because they are human beings who are different from normal human beings, but
Right.
that difference is not a sickness that needs to be cured. It is just how you are as a person. And then
Right.
the second element of that part is there are, because comics are comics, there are mutants who exist who technically have powers that would be like, I would rather be dead than have this power. So I want to talk about this mutant real quick. I forget, now that it's been so long, I forgot his name. But he's a mutant whose power is like, if I'm near you, you die. And you just spontaneously combust because I'm close to you.
Oh, is he the little kid?
Yeah. And like,
Yeah, I know you're talking
it's
about.
like,
That's where they're deriving the cure from.
yeah, it's like, if this character were in this situation, you might have a point. Because the difference between that character and Rogue is if Rogue is touching you and draining your power away from you, she can stop touching you and then it stops draining your power and killing you. This could just like, if he's close to you, you just start dying. And you can only be stopped by him not being close to you. But I also want to talk about it from like, for you to have this comment when it is Storm who is talking, who Storm's character is specifically also represents being a black woman who is this is a thing that they deal with as black women. Like, you're so wrong on so many levels. Like, yes, like there is the social commentary of Storm being a black woman talking to Rogue and saying, "You are not broken, so they cannot fix you," is also like her saying, "You being a woman is not a problem that needs to be fixed. You being like for her, it's like you being black is not a problem that can be fixed. That is just who you are." Like,
Right. Well, and even the way that I kind of interpret it, and I love how X-Men is a little open to interpretation. You kind of like those like the quote unquote gay camps,
yeah, yeah,
or
that's
the straight camps. I mean, that's another way to put it.
yeah, that's just another thing. It's like that's this line that she is saying is like so steeped in culture for you to just read it as like your mutant power sucks and mine is awesome. It's like the most like myopic way you could possibly have read that line. Like,
Yeah.
she's saying so many things and you missed all of them to make this meme. Like like the other part is like it's a meme. That means that you saw this on in the movie, then you went to the internet to find screen captures so that you could take pictures of this meme to cut them up and add dialogue to them and then posted it. Like, in all of that, you didn't like Google who Storm is, Google the themes of X-Men, like none of it. You didn't hit Google at all to like try and understand what she's saying before you wrote and created a meme and posted it online. Like, please, people of the internet, when you have an idea about something and you feel strongly about it, Google the thing that you're feeling strong about before you make a meme. Just Google. If
Yep.
she'd have just typed in "they can't fix us because we're not broken," you would have found thousands of people using this line to describe personal situations in their lives, personal situations, personal causes they fight, thousands of them. But instead, you wrote the worst meme of all time. The worst.
Yeah. So our parents would have said, "Think before you speak."
Yes. Think before you speak. And
Yep.
please gain a single ounce. Go to a lab and have someone like pour the test tubes, the little like foam happens, and then just have them drop a single ounce of empathy into your brain so you could possibly understand what this person is saying before you make a meme.
Yeah. Add a little common sense in there too.
Yeah, well, chemical X can be common sense, and then boop, like,
Yep.
there's the rant. I just like, instead of me typing like 2 pages of tweets talking about how stupid this person was, I just wanted to bring it here instead.
I applaud you for showing some restraint. I think sometimes with the internet we feed the trolls, and that's what they want. They want you to argue with them. Showing that restraint, dude. Yeah, good for you.
I
Appreciate you.
I think the fact that uh, tweets may have become monetized is one of like the 7 horsemen of the apocalypse. Like, when when the apocalypse happens, one of the horses is just going to be a sign that just says monetized tweets,
Yeah,
because people literally go on Twitter just to say something so wrong that people will engage with it and they think that's going to get them money. And like
yeah,
the whole thing, I'm like, I don't know how many tweets I've read that are just something like, I think that Invincible is stronger than Thor. It's like, okay, I'm gonna take a pause because like Lee is screaming and he has been for a little while. So just 1 second.
hello, dear listener. It's just you and me again. Aaron has stepped away to go be dad, and like I do on every podcast, I play video games while we talk. And right now, I am playing on my Steam Deck Sonic and All Star Racing Transform Collection. Pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good. Been kind of a spicy episode, and I apologize for that. Actually, you know what? I don't apologize. He'll probably cut out in this dead air.
Apparently, they are just playing, and he is perfectly fine, even though he's screaming his head off.
As one does.
Okay, I totally
I was
lost what I was saying, but like the
yeah,
internet,
okay.
bad. Horseman, apocalypse, Twitter, paid tweets.
I hope the four horsemen of the apocalypse actually look like the ones in Darksiders. Speaking of which, I feel like I materialized the new
Yeah,
dark like
Darksiders remaster.
yeah, the for the billionth time or whatever,
Yeah.
definitive. No, I started playing Darksiders 2 after I beat Darksiders 1, and I'm like, I need just a little bit of a break from this. Like, not much, but just a little break. And then what happens? They freaking announce it.
There you go.
It's exciting, dude. Super exciting.
All right.
60 frames a second. Oh yeah, baby. That's what I want.
I got
I'm a snob.
one more tiny little thing, and then this is going to be super short, and then we can move on because I'm going to save my next one for the next podcast.
Okay.
So I'm going to be brief and redacted in this little line here, but have you kept up with what's going on with Mr. P. Diddy?
Kept up as in I read the article on CNN, and I can actually kind of hit you with one as well. Have you been keeping up with the Vince McMahon stuff? Because it's all on the same sort of like human trafficking, devious.
I genuinely
Super gross.
I heard about the Vince McMahon stuff, but like I all I heard was about the documentary that came out about him. I didn't know if there was actually like legal stuff going on like Diddy.
Oh, big time. Yeah. And it's all the same stuff. You can take Diddy out and plug Vince McMahon in and you'd be having the same conversation. But yes, I have been keeping up on it.
Oh my God. My God. Like I said, I'm gonna keep this brief for our audience's sake. If you're old enough, go look into what's going on with Diddy. But if not, just wait until you're older because it's messed up.
Yeah, wait until you're 39 and then
yeah,
just don't watch it.
wait until you're 90 and then watch it as you die.
I'm not sure if Diddy would be considered like because the old saying "Don't meet your heroes." I don't know if anybody is like, "Oh, Diddy's my hero," but like the people that you like in these like celebrity worlds and stuff probably aren't the greatest people in the world.
Oh,
so
God. I have never this one doesn't hit me in the same way as some of the other stuff has, just because I was, like you said, I'm not a fan. I don't know anyone who was like, man, I really love Diddy. So like, it's not like I don't ever feel like I'm hitting from that angle, but like just the people, like it's such a situation where like there are so many people involved, but you don't know, it's going to be hard to figure out who's victims and who's co-conspirators. And that's the part I'm like
yeah. So kind of yuck, dude. Kind of in the same token, like I actually finished the Vince McMahon documentary last night, but like my fingers on the pulse when it comes to pro wrestling, like just big time. But what had happened was there was a big report that came out about hush money that Vince McMahon had paid out on the WWE books. So a bunch of just call it old relationships that have gone wrong or whatever. But come to find out, one of them, her name is Janelle Grant, who filed another lawsuit against them, and then a bunch of other people as well. So like John Laurinaitis there was an unnamed wrestler in the document in the lawsuit actually kind of got back to Brock Lesnar, but there were a lot of like unsavory things that he had made her do, and rape allegations and all this other crap. This man had resigned from WWE and then had come back, like forced his way back into it. And again, I'm boiling down things that had happened and just kind of bullet points here, but he forced his way back in, helped get the company sold to Endeavor, which also owns UFC, and then more damning stuff had come out, so he officially had to resign again. That dude, there's no coming back for him at all. WWE has completely distanced himself from it. But just like the Diddy stuff, dude, just these people with money think that they can get away with these horrible, horrible acts. And I implore you, like, if you are a wrestling fan, viewer discretion advised, whatever. But like that, the documentary won't tell you anything, especially if you are into wrestling. It won't tell you anything new about wrestling because I mean it gets into a lot of stuff, but there's definitely a little. It lets you. There's some more insight into Vince McMahon and then the people that he surrounds himself with, like popular people like the Undertaker or Stone Cold Steve Austin or John Cena or Cody Rhodes, whatever, and kind of paints a picture of who he thinks he was and how much power he thought that he had because of the people that he surrounded himself with that really kind of protected him. But, lots of credit goes to these reporters and stuff that are breaking these stories. But people like Diddy, people like Vince McMahon, I mean, I think those two stories kind of go hand in hand. But
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Never meet your heroes.
No, like there is nothing like, like I haven't been like too far into it because it's all, I was like, we're at the point now with the Diddy stuff where it's all, a lot of it is just conjecture and it's, I saw this picture of this person and they looked like this. So obviously, so like I'm trying to keep like, save the judgment until we are talking facts and not people's opinions. Cause I really,
Right.
people, now that we're dealing with this new version of the internet, people are just, anything that I think I can get someone to believe or click on, I'll say it. So I just like, until we're talking facts, until someone is, speaking from factual evidence gathered by, at this point, the FBI, I'm just gonna, genuinely say like what he's accused of looks gross. But like,
Yeah.
if, if he has had the level of like blackmail and control that it's implied that he has had over the music industry for a while, like the best way that I've seen it explained so far was like, hey, if you're a musician or an actor or somebody who, even in like an athlete, and you really want to get famous, like now is the time. Like you need to be grinding right now because a lot of slots in the industry are about to start opening up as people start retiring to kind of save their reputations because it's about to start going down. So you need to get your ass out there. And that's
right.
Like,
and I think too, you can say these things like, I don't know, without defending them. You know what I mean? Like, I think cancel culture is what it is. But, and again, these are all allegations, but it looks pretty cut and dry, like Diddy's going away. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're talking like, I think they're talking like 8 life sentences. Like,
yeah.
They're not playing around if they're talking 8 life sentences. Like they think they got him.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and again, I feel cancel culture, I'm not a fan of it, but like in some cases, especially like this, like, when the evidence is pretty apparent. Same thing goes with Vince McMahon. I mean, there's really no, unless something comes out that, completely alleviates their or proves their innocence or whatever, like, there's no coming back, dude. So
yeah. Uh,
I don't know
I
what I'm
wanted
trying.
to
I don't
keep
know exactly what I'm trying to say, but
I wanted to keep this thing brief. I don't want to go too deeply into, but like I heard about that documentary, but I haven't gotten a chance to check it out. I spent a lot of time in what I would have in my wrestling time when I was super into it. It was all, I mean, the whole thing was Vince McMahon. So like I
yeah,
I, I have like a an interest in finding out more about it, but like this it just seems like the entire landscape of like I don't know. Well, I would even say like at this point, the entire landscape of fame is about to change drastically. With,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
try,
I mean,
too political again, but like with Epstein, Harvey Weinstein, and now Diddy, like
which
there's just
Trump too, man.
Trump. I mean, like there's just an entire like category of celebrity that is a lot of those people are about to start disappearing. So like I mean,
Yep.
apparently it's for the best because there were a lot of creeps amongst that pile, but like it's going to be interesting to see how because this is I'm taking this farther than I wanted to go, but like our current version of Hollywood is so attached to the old stars and so resistant to the new ones.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how it changes when like those old stars are just not like we cannot use them anymore. There's a lot of people who are about to show up in this Diddy thing that just they're not those people aren't usable anymore. Like you can't put
Right.
them in movies, you can't put them in projects, you can't have them on your host your TV show, you can't have them, like on your award show. Like they're just gonna be gone from
Right.
public life. And like
Oh, look what happened to Jonathan Majors. Nothing stays. If you're if you're out there doing bad things, people are going to find out, and there's consequences for it. They were building they were building an entire like cinematic arc around Jonathan Majors and Kang.
yeah,
And they good on them for pivoting. I mean but
dang. Wow.
they're coming for him.
You
Like
just unlocked something major in my brain. Like
no pun intended.
yeah, yeah, no pun intended. But like I I have been on this like why did they like why didn't they just pick a new actor? Why go all the way back and in reverse and sideways to grab Robert Downey Jr. and then because they think he's safe because they think that there's no way what happened with Jonathan Majors is going to happen with him. So they're
Yeah,
like my brain did not
yeah.
click
I
that
was
at all. But like
I was getting ready to say that, dude. I mean, unless something comes out about Chris Evans or whatever, or Robert Downey Jr., like, like they're vetting a new Kang is probably, I don't know. I don't even know. Like, it's hard to say, like, they're taking a gamble on a new actor or whatever, like, but I don't know. That's a really kind of touchy subject, too. Like, but like you said, though, like RDJ's, he's safe. He's a known quantity.
yeah,
But
I wow that just this episode went places like
that's been a great one so far,
yeah.
dude.
So yeah,
I
like I said before, I want to keep this Diddy conversation brief though, because the more we get into it, the grosser it's gonna get, and I don't even want to.
yeah, that's I I will recommend people watch the Vince McMahon documentary. Speaking of Diddy and all that stuff, and dude, there will be tons of documentaries on Diddy. I guarantee it. But
Isn't there
um,
already one out?
there, baby, I don't know. I don't really keep my finger. I mean, dude, even like Netflix and stuff. Allie was joking around. I was like, dude, I've never seen you binge anything before. Like, I watched that documentary came out Wednesday, and there are 6 hour long episodes, and I finished them up last night.
Dang.
Yeah, just I wanted to get through it, because it's germane to what I like, but I didn't mean to like take over. I apologize, but they were so closely related that. But no, I recommend people watch that documentary, especially if you are a lapsed wrestling fan or you're not a wrestling fan, because it'll give you a completely different perspective on what wrestling was and what it is now and kind of where they are. Crazy.
No,
But
I'm perfectly fine with you taking over that because I literally like you could see it in there. I wrote brief because I
yeah,
do
I know you
not want
did.
to
Yeah.
talk about that because if we get into any of the details, it gets weird real fast, and then not a place I want to take this podcast.
No worries. I got one more thing that I wanted to talk about before we start, into our positives.
Yep.
But mine's brief too, I guess. I'm trekking on a Odyssey through the MCU again. So based off of our one of our last conversations about Deadpool and the Wolverine, I was like, I need something to do and something to watch because we don't really have a TV show going on right now. We finished up Curb Your Enthusiasm earlier this year, and not really any anime or anything like that. But so I was like, I'm just going to rewatch the MCU. So I am. Where am I at? Let me pull that up. I've been prepared this whole time, and I'm not prepared right now. I actually say again.
I'm gonna take a guess and say Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I'm not quite that far yet. I'm at Guardians of the Galaxy Part 2. But what I've been doing is I've got a list of everything. I am not watching television shows, but I've been putting dates and letter grades next to them. So when I finish up, I kind of want to go through and sort of reevaluate my stance on the MCU, just more for call it content, I guess. But it's been a while since I've seen some of these movies, and some of them are better than I remember them, and some of them are a hell of a lot worse.
Give me the worst. Give me the worst.
You want the worst one?
Yeah.
Thor: Dark World got an F.
Oh yeah. I don't know if this is a thing. I haven't listened to a lot of podcasts where they specifically talk about the MCU, but we might be like the most hated of the Thor Dark World because every time we talk about the worst MCU movie, we both of us instantly say Thor Dark World.
So for context of this one, I gave it an F, and it's the only one in this rewatch that I didn't watch because I was just like, I can. There's a lot more things I could do with my life than spend another 2.5 hours watching Thor: Dark World again. So I was just like, it's an instant F. No, I'm not going to do it. But so far, other than that one, the lowest grade that I've given is a C.
And who got the C?
Yeah, Incredible Hulk and the original Thor both got C's. So this will, dude. If I go through it now, it'll spark a whole other conversation. We'll be here for another 4 hours, but I guess I can. You want me to give you what I got so far?
Sure.
Without without elaborating.
Yeah, just give me the movie and the letter, and I'll ooh and ah.
Iron Man S.
Yes.
Incredible Hulk C. Iron Man 2 is a B.
Mm-hmm.
Thor is a C.
Mm-hmm.
Captain America is a B.
Ooh.
Avengers is an A.
Yes.
Iron Man 3 is a B.
Mm-hmm.
Thor: Dark World is an F.
Of course.
Captain America: Winter Soldier is an S.
Yes.
I also finished that one on 9/11. Never forget.
Mm-hmm.
Guardians of the Galaxy is an S.
Yes.
Avengers: Age of Ultron is a B.
Okay.
And that one's actually better than I remember it. Ant-Man is a B.
Mm-hmm.
Captain America: Civil War is an A.
Mm-hmm.
And Doctor Strange is an A. So, again, I'm not going to elaborate on any of those. I still have a ton of movies to get through, but I will keep everybody updated. And I think it'd be kind of cool to kind of go through, maybe do an episode on it.
I am so excited to hear every letter grade in Phase 4.
I'm not.
I'm excited to hear every letter grade in Phase 4. That's what I'm most excited about, genuinely.
I think 4 is going to be weird. Phase 5, I think, is going to be odd as well. I just bought the Marvels. I've not seen that one yet. Marvels was $10 on iTunes, so I got that. And Deadpool and the Wolverine will be probably decently priced on iTunes because it comes out on digital on October 1st. So I'll give that another watch.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, Phase 3 is probably the easiest alley oop for the whole thing because that's where I came back. I think that's where the MCU started getting good or better rather. But The ones that I really changed my mind on were is definitely Winter Soldier. I love Winter Soldier.
Love Winter Soldier. I like this is another thing that I never do, but like you've kind of sparked me. Like I kind of want to do the same. I kind of want to go through the list and actually like rank them
Yeah,
because
go for it, dude. And
I
then catch up. And we can do it together.
yeah, because I think people will be really surprised by how I rank Phase 4. Because to be honest, I like most of the movies in Phase 4. Looking at the list, there's only 2 movies in here that I don't like.
I have the same list as you, and I think four was where they started really doing television shows, and I'm not including those. But four is Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man: No Way Home, Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness, Thor: Love and Thunder, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
I I would put like just like stating, and that we got to keep this brief because this episode's getting long.
Yeah,
I would put my favorite movie in Phase 4 is probably Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
yeah, agreed. That is a Sam Raimi ass movie. So
I loved that movie, and like people were like, "Oh, it's weird." I'm like, I don't care. It was weird, awesome. I don't. It doesn't. Every Marvel movie doesn't have to be action packed, fly into space and punch aliens. Sometimes they can be kind of scary, and I love fucking Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of
yeah,
Madness. I loved it.
that's the one that, especially in the newer age of Marvel, when I like post Endgame, that's the one that's grown on me the most. We didn't really like it much when we were in the theaters, but like that one's really grown on me. I think that especially with as cookie cutter as the MCU is, and when you watch them all back to back to back to back to back to back to back,
Pattern
which we've
emerge
been,
and
you kind of see the similarities in a lot of these things. A few of them really stand out, like is different from the rest of them. You know, Iron Man definitely stands out from the rest of them. A lot of the ones in Phase One beyond Iron Man are very cookie cutter. Phase Two, I think Winter Soldier stands out more than any of them, but mostly because when they give the directors not free reign, but when they give them the chance to put their own spin on things, that's one of the reasons why Ragnarok was as good as it was, is because Taika Waititi put his spin on it. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is the same way, where they've got Sam Raimi, who comes from a horror background and took a weird IP and made it his own. It is Evil Dead as fuck. Just kind of like what the Spider-Man trilogy was, his Spider-Man trilogy. There's a spot in dude, Evil Dead is all over Spider-Man, but in Spider-Man 2, when Doc Ock is on the table and the tentacles are going everywhere,
mm-hmm.
watch Evil Dead 2 and then watch that part of Spider-Man 2 and tell me that they're not like the same thing. It's amazing. So, but anyway, that's kind of where I'm at with MCU right now. I'm enjoying myself. I've been kind of watching them in small bursts. So I don't, sometimes I'll watch a whole movie by itself. Sometimes I'll have it on at work or whatever while I'm doing credit reports or something like that. But I wonder how many people would laugh when I'm viewing the credit report. I've got fucking, Ant-Man on in the background, but but no, that's all I got for that.
All right. Well, I'll leave this positive for you because I'm gonna say my positive is Brett's positive. Go.
Oh, I appreciate that, my friend. My positive is we are welcoming a new member of the family. So
Yeah.
officially announcing baby Altmailer in May 15th of 2025.
So
So,
excited. I'm so happy
yep,
for you, man.
yep. Game Daddies grows by one.
Grows by one. Eventually we'll be an
Uh,
army and we'll just take over by force.
that's what we'll do. Stand by, stand back.
don't do don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh God. Allie, I just got up out of the beanbag chair and Allie's just standing there staring at me laughing. Okay. There are good people on both sides.
Don't, don't, don't.
I ruined a moment, but no, we're excited. We're not telling anybody the gender or the name until release day.
Mm-hmm.
So born day, birthday.
So,
But no, dude, freaking exciting, man. Like life comes at you in the craziest way sometimes. And this is not something I was expecting, especially like this kind of late in my life. But you know, that's just life, dude. It's great, it's unexpected, and sometimes you don't know what you need until you have it. And we're pretty fucking stoked. So my wife is coming in to give me a hug right now. So I don't I've got my AirPods in, so I don't know if anybody can hear her or that, but she just said the craziest slur.
oh,
I'm kidding. I'm
10 out of
kidding.
10. That's the best. She comes in and we're talking about the new baby, and then she just drops a slur. Just comes
I
in,
know.
drops the mic, and walks away.
You watch your mouth. The mother of my child, everybody. Dude, hell of an episode.
Yes, hell of an episode. Like if this is like the first Game Dads episode that you come into, like I don't know if I would say that we get that philosophical in every episode, but that was a good one.
Yeah, it was. We, I don't know.
And then Allie came in and dropped a slur, which I'm
Oh,
I'm gonna
geez.
add in post. I'm just gonna like pick a slur.
Oh my God. It's like slur roulette. Can you? Oh my God. Yeah, I don't even know, but like, I think this is one of the best ones we've done. I genuinely, my friend, Game Dads is one of the highlights of what we do, and appreciate you. I appreciate the audience. I like we have this outlet of video games, pop culture, our friendship. I think that's the biggest thing with it. Be able to kind of put that on display for everybody's amusement. Appreciate you, brother.
Yes,
Appreciate
absolutely. And it's just I love that feeling. Like it's a great feeling when you get to have this moment where you're like, you know what? Instead of like letting this idea fizzle out of my head, I'm gonna take this to the podcast, and I'm gonna go into podcast, and and then you can like iterate on it in your head a little bit and like get what you want to say, and then like, I love it. I love our podcast, man.
I did like writing that Brett's bothered out, so I think I may experiment a little bit more with that, just for future references and stuff. I have been kind of been experimenting with writing again. I have. It's been a while since I've actually written anything, but may eventually do reviews or something like that. Just yeah.
I would love to have a podcast episode. Maybe like we wouldn't like I wouldn't say like any type of schedule on it at all, but like when we both have like a game review that we want to do, and just have an episode where like we both take 20 minutes or 30 minutes and do like a written out review. Like you do yours and then I do mine, and then we can talk about something else for the rest of the podcast. And then we could take those two reviews and cut them up and make them like individual like videos.
Yeah, I'd be down with that.
All right, we're waffling. We should probably end this.
Yeah. But all right, everybody. Love you guys. Tell them Large Marge sent you.
Yep. Later. Wibbity wham wham wazzle. I'm not gonna forget. Wibbity wham wham wazzle.